once I was there, I'd try to trace my real mother. I even took the first step in that direction by ordering a copy of my birth registration document, though I had no idea what kind of information I'd find on it. I'd never bothered before, because since I'd been abandoned, there wasn't going to be any major clue as to who I actually was on it, was there? My parents must have had one, because I'd had a passport for school trips to France and Switzerland, but I'd never seen it. When I had a rough idea of how much money the insurance would be, I spent hours in Edie's small back office, surfing the internet to see what kind of property I could afford in the Haworth area. Lola looked too when she had time, and sent me links to cottages she thought nice, and also suggested we meet in Haworth for a couple of days to view anything suitable together. But actually, you can virtually tour most properties on the internet and, well, something was still holding me back from going there. It was a sort of spell, an evil enchantment that I knew would be broken the moment I bought my stake in the village. No frog required. The birth registration certificate was a brief and not very illuminating document, giving the parish where I was born, which wasn't a surprise, and my birthday as the 2nd of March, the day I'd been found. I discovered I'd been registered as Alice Oldstone, but although I'd always been Alice, I had no idea where the Oldstone came from, unless it was the name of the person who found me or something like that. It wasn't my social worker, because she signed the certificate as Janine Parker. I suppose someone had to. Alice Oldstone. It sounded quite Cold Comfort Farm, unlike Alice Rose, which I'd always felt was a bit Victorian Miss. They say good things come in threes, and following hard on the heels of the insurance money came number 2, an offer from a large and well-established publisher for my next full-length novel, and they also wanted to do a deal for my self-published ebook novel and the 2 novellas. After all those years of submitting adult horror fairy tales and being rejected, now they were actually asking me. I thought about it and felt it might work to my advantage. Also, I rather liked the idea of print books that I could hold in my hands. But I really needed the guidance of an agent, and I'd been firmly rejected by a few of those in the past too. Then I remembered that I'd once actually met one. I didn't just read horror, supernatural and fairy stories. I liked a bit of historical romance too, especially by my favourite author, Ellery Groves. Just before I moved up to Scotland, I'd been lucky enough to win the prize of an afternoon tea with her at Framling's famous tea room in London, along with 2 other fans. I'd travelled up from Cornwall by train, feeling very nervous, but Ellery was a lovely, friendly and interesting person, and it had all been great fun. I'd also looked forward to seeing the Swish Framling's tea room, and it had certainly been quite an experience. Everything had seemed to sparkle. The light bounced off the pristine white tablecloths, the rose-pink china, and the silvery teapots. And the food was wonderful, especially the cakes, although I was a little critical of the Battenberg. It should have been soft squares of vanilla yellow and pale pink, wrapped in a good layer of marzipan, not a garish checkerboard of primrose and cerise, the squares stuck together with thick red jam, and then the whole wrapped in marzipan so thin you couldn't taste it. Mine was definitely better. Also at the tea had been Ellery's agent, Senga McWhirter, a name so odd that it had stuck in my head, so I thought I'd try her first, reminding her that we'd once met. The slight connection seemed like a good omen, and I was always keen on signs and portents. She'd had a liltingly familiar Scottish accent that had made me feel relaxed in her company, but she struck me as a tough cookie under her soft baby blue cashmere twinset, which I suspected was exactly what you needed in a literary agent.